Is that it? We are live. I didn't realize I was looking for the little clock that scrolls on the top of the screen. I couldn't find it. We're live. Let me while you gaze at the two beauties over my left shoulder, left no, my right shoulder. The screen flips it around. It's over my right shoulder. Yeah, my bad. Is it? No. Yes, it is my right shoulder. The screen has it flipped. I this is We are off to a rather retarded start tonight. Let me just make sure the audio is coming through, lest the start be even more R worded. 1 second. More R worded. There it is. How about it? Let me close this stupid thing. Okay. Well, what do we do? I haven't done a live one of these in quite some time. How's it go? I forget. Oh yeah, I tell you the social media pages that you can check out. Um, Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it, at Mike Montone, Instagram at Gary underscore Moyler, Moyler, and of course the YouTube channel where all of this streams, Mike's Golden Streams. Check it all out, or just look for Sacktap Live on YouTube or the Savage Sacktap wherever you download your podcasts. I'm usually a couple days late getting the audio up there, so you're better off just doing the YouTube. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. I could use the followership. All right. Yeah, Mikey Unleashed. Howdy to the boys in the comment section. Dustin Landry, Ryan B. First couple to get here. I don't know. Did I lose my entire 12-person listenership over the lengthy break that I took? Wayward native Rooster, good to see you, fellas. Hope the new year is treating y'all well. I had to take some time to rest and refit, as they say. I was fucking cooked at the end of 2024. I'm a very active boy. I do a lot of shit. I got a lot of activities, and sometimes I really, really just need to take a load off, and being able to kind of clear this part of my Friday night lets me just kind of like take the night to chill out and relax, which I often find the need to do. And then, of course, it's the holidays. There were a lot of gatherings and etc. to attend, so that drove some of the pre-records and whatnot. But we're here today. We're here tonight. I don't know if I have. If anyone out there is from the Los Angeles area, listen, I know Miguel pops in once in a while, but wild stuff going on out there. Everyone has seen it all over the place, so it's not like I'm not going to play a bunch of videos or whatever. Like we've all, unless you've been living under a rock for the past how it's been going on a few days now, I guess. We don't get really bad wildfires around here. We get them because there is a lot of wooded area, like the Pine Barrens usually burn, but very rarely do we see a lot of property threatened. Like it's a disaster movie. Like a city is being engulfed in flames, which is just, you say it's, you can't imagine it, and then you think about, Sandy and Katrina and like cities being engulfed in water. So it's like, oh yeah, that's right. The elements do in fact own us. We are all just, it's flesh and bone, and we've made these structures in which we feel safe until until a spark catches, and then that's that. But yeah, freaky shit going on out there. I never, like, this is the first I hear of this Pacific Palisades place. Los Angeles is really a city of which I know absolutely nothing. I've been through LAX in transit, and I once had to spend a couple days pretty much just hanging out at a hotel in Los Angeles waiting for a flight to Okinawa. And like I had to stay there because this was before like smartphones and whatnot. This was in 2009 on my way back from Iraq. So there might have like just been the first iPhones or Blackberries or whatever it was. I didn't have it. I had a flip phone. So I would have to spend the day refreshing my email, waiting for them to tell me when the flight that I was going to get on would be. So I hung out at this hotel. I had a room courtesy of the U.S. government. Just spent a lot of time up there, tugging my prick, and then I would go downstairs. I would just drink at the hotel bar, dine. I ate a lot, like it's hotel bar food. Like I ate a lot of Cobb salads. You know what I mean? Like it was a very, it was like a taste of what a comedian life on the road is masturbating and eating in hotels. So that was a long time, and that's really the only time I've spent in LA. I've been to San Diego quite a bit because Camp Pendleton's down there, and I did my Iraq work up there and processed out of the Marine Corps there. So I spent a fair amount of time in San Diego. I love San Diego. I would never leave New Jersey. I'm convinced that New Jersey is the greatest place in the world. But if I did have to leave New Jersey, it's like Thailand and San Diego are high on the list, or maybe Dallas, or right down the street from Jerry's World. I hear it gets miserably hot there, though, so I don't know if I would like that. But yeah, incredible stuff. The footage, I was looking at the pictures now of the neighborhoods where it started to clear a little bit. It is very reminiscent of Superstorm Sandy around here. Breezy Point, Queens was just completely wiped out when that happened. And there was, I think, a transformer caught fire. And in the midst of the hurricane that was lashing the city, there was also this neighborhood that became completely engulfed in flames. So yeah, I mean the world is the universe and the world and everything is indeed bigger than we are. Um yeah, so it was the holidays, it was Christmas time and New Year's. I was out. I did the polar plunge as I am wont to do. And there was this delighted me to no end. There was some guy, early mid late 20s, it's very hard to tell. I don't know how old anyone is. But the subway, he couldn't get through a subway turnstile, and some very gruff New Yorker yelled at him for and scolded him for like holding up the line. And he turned out to be very effeminate. He was carrying a bag from the Lego store. So I was trying to figure out if this guy was if he was a tourist, or if he was just a New Yorker who, like, well, not a real New Yorker, but like a definite transplant. He did not have an ounce of fucking New Yorker in him. But it is the holidays and people come to visit, and he had like the Lego store gift bag. So like, you wonder if he was showing a bunch of people around the city, and like and they think of him, his family from Ohio, who's whatever, they've just accepted now that their son lives probably a deviant, what they would consider a deviant lifestyle with possibly other men, or, other people of indeterminate gender. And dad has finally softened up and decided to come visit his son in New York. He's been there for 3 months, moved there right at the end of the summer, something along those lines. To make it in the big city. And mom and dad, or whoever the hell he was with, came to visit, and they saw him get absolutely just owned by some guy because he was being such just an ineffectual little turd trying to swipe I don't know if he was trying to swipe his credit card or a Metro card or what. As things are a pain in the ass. Like every other time you go to swipe, there's some kind of fucking issue. And it's just funny that like, he got yelled at and he got flustered and called just like not he didn't say it to the guy. He said it under his breath as the guy left. He's what a fucking asshole. And I really enjoyed it because it is fun. If I don't, first of all, I hate anyone who's jamming up the works. I don't like. I was at the grocery store today, and a lot of people just moving around, real lackadaisical. They're slowing down the process. They're getting in the way. A lot of them, the elderly, really, they're very bad at pushing shopping carts. Shouldn't I know you're independent? I've said it once. I've said it a million times. There needs to be a sort of a senior swim at the grocery store where these are the hours that the elderly are allowed in. But this kid was jamming up the works, couldn't get through the turnstile, and that is very annoying in New York City if you're trying to get on the subway because you're gonna miss your train because some idiot couldn't get through the thing. By the way, if you can't get through it just jump over it, just climb over it. But he's probably the kind. This guy, if I could read his politics correctly, would be furious if the cops intervened because somebody had jumped the turnstile, but in the same breath, he is probably also afraid to jump the turnstile because he's afraid of getting arrested. That is, if I had to read this guy's politics just from that moment that I observed him out in the wild, that's what I would say it was. But he caught a proper scolding. I'm looking at the comments section. Wayward Native, really 800,000 acres. Oh, I see. So the reason, and that makes sense. So the Wayward Native here says that the reason it's hard to evacuate people is because there are meth head looters that will go around. Now, I wonder, that makes perfect sense. Although, I mean, is meth that strong that people and that good? I mean, I know it's that strong, but is it that you would run into when acres and acres are ablaze, that you would go into it just so you could steal some shit to hawk and to sell for more meth? I mean, I guess that's the advantage of doing methamphetamine, is that when you're on meth, you can do anything. Like you're not afraid of anything. It can be the only thing you're afraid of are the bugs that are going to start crawling on your skin when it comes down. But that's wild. Although you would also think that with methamphetamine is one of those drugs that you could be really productive on. Like you could do a lot of meth and use that energy to get a job and make money to afford more meth. Like the methamphetamine users should be like the picture of the societally accepted drug addict. Like they should all be reaching the top of corporate America, like corporate boardroom, and effectively they are, right? Because that's Adderall is effectively a safe dose of meth. But just imagine what could be achieved if our best and brightest were all doing meth. Anyway, a lot went on mass transit. In addition to seeing the little I don't even know, the little Nancy with the Lego bag. In addition to seeing him get schooled, there was another couple of incidences regarding seating. Of course, as you know, I am a big seating is something I take very seriously. Seating on mass transit. I don't believe, and I'm firm in this, that people should never sit down next to each other thigh to thigh, unless it's a completely packed bus or train or whatever because of congestion pricing. It's, you're packed in there like sardines. I don't think you should, if you get on a bus and all of, most buses, they're like those two-seaters, right? So you sit two, and they're on the side, on the aisle, and one person in one seat, one in the other, and then there's the aisle, and you get rows on either side. If you get on the bus, or if you're on train like that, if you get on the train, the bus, the whatever, and there is not a free two-seater with no one sitting in it, unless you have some sort of severe injury or you're old, pregnant, infirm, whatever, at that point you stand. It doesn't matter unless, now if this is a ride, that you're taking all the way down the Garden State Parkway, you go to Atlantic City, go to wherever, and it's hours and hours. Okay, then you sit. That's that's the way of that bus. But I mean, I've stood for some lengthy train rides. It's just very strange to me, especially this time of year. There are very few times of year when I would find this acceptable. And around here, the people who live around where I live are it's a lot of disgusting people. It's the only way to describe it. Like you're either headed into the city to do a job that requires you to be clean and well put together, or you're one of the disgusting public transportation people. It's like one of the two. And of course, there is a group, again, without getting into specifics, that cook with certain spices from the Far East, and they get all over their clothing. And I don't know if they're trying to wash it off or not, but they do carry a reputation with them for smelling of a certain spice. And if you enjoy garlic naan, you probably know what I'm talking about, right? Decent enough people, but can come with a pungent odor. So that, plus the homeless, plus the construction guys who all smell like fart and weed. It's a gross situation on the bus. I was on the bus one day and a chick projectile vomited all over the place. That was actually pretty awesome. But the point is, because of this, I feel that decorum states that unless you can sit without body parts, up against one another, you stand. And we should be good with that. You should not, again, if you're just out of shape and can't stand, or your legs are weak and you can't stand, but you're, in your 30s or what have you, you're not elderly or anything like that, then that's a you problem. That's not a me problem. I get on the bus when it's completely empty. I get a seat, fill in as you will, but it's going to take a person who really deserves the seat to get me to move my backpack. This is all to say, on two separate occasions over the past couple weeks, over the break and then returning from the break, I witnessed this code being violated. Not against me. I was, in one instance, standing, and another, perhaps more egregious. I don't know which of the two was more egregious. I'll tell you the first one was on the PATH train. I think it was New Year's Day. We're coming back from the plunge. And there's this woman sitting on the PATH train. So they have, usually it's like bench seating on the PATH train. But you got the bench, then there's the door, and then there's like a mini bench. So I went for a 10-mile run this morning. And in the winter, when I go out and run a lot, I get, it's called track hack. You just wind up fucking, I don't know what it gets, because your throat freezes and gets fucking dry, but whatever it is. Feeling good. Marathon's coming in April. 3 months. It's like it's basically a seat and a half. It's for one person. Like, it's for one person or two people if those people are sleeping together. And this woman's sitting there, and this this fucking guy gets on, and he's not morbidly obese. He's overweight, like he's a big guy, big-ish, but like I mean, he was dressed up. He was wearing scrubs, so presumably he looked like he was going to work. Um, but he was definitely a thick boy, and he took up some space. And he squeezed into this 1.5 seater with this chick, and just sat there, pressing her into like the wall of the thing. And it was just such a strange move because it was a situation where the train wasn't full, but most of the seats were taken, and there were a couple people standing, and it was just like a situation where it was like if you got on that train and you sat down next to someone, you were either going to have to squeeze right in next to them, or you just have to stand. And there is no path that takes more than 15 minutes. Like they shoot right. It's 6 minutes to get across the river, and it's like another 7 to get up to 33rd Street at most. It's a very, very, very quick ride. And it drives me insane that there are people out there, and we have to account for them, who operate with this level of social, just complete unawareness, that they think that I want to know how they were socialized to feel like this. Because if I ever have kids and I have to take them on mass transit or whatever, like I'm going to teach them these fucking unwritten rules so they don't creep people out on the train. Like that, and this is the other thing. Like there's like 100-pound chick that he sat down next to. It's like, at some point, no matter how bad you want a seat, it's like under what other social circumstances. And I know like a baseball game, but that's a stadium. Like that is we've all kind of agreed that that's the way it'll be. There's no other way to do it there, right? You can get the standing room only, or if you would like, you can get a luxury box, whatever. There's just no other way to do it there. On the train, there's just that option where it's going to be 12 minutes. You can stand instead of rubbing thigh to thigh against a complete stranger. And that was a very weird move. That feels like a guy who maybe gets off on that kind of thing a little bit. Like he probably has trouble actually approaching women, but like he finds these little moments, especially if you're riding mass transit in the New York City area, you find a lot of those moments where you can, or just walking around anywhere, bars, where you can graze. I believe it's called frottage when you do that, when you rub up against someone and then you go jerk off to it. I believe that is known as frottage. So he did that, and I was disgusted by it. But you can't say anything either, because technically they are allowed to sit there. Like that is the creator's intent for the seat. But still, I think anyone with you just have to have, there has to be something socially so wrong with you to do that. That really, really confuses me. As to how that happened. I would almost love to collect people like that and do a documentary on them. Like sit them down and interview them, follow them, and watch them, and then talk to the person they're sitting next to about the experience. And it's never, you notice it, and it's never like, it really is never anyone who looks like they have their shit together is doing that. Like I've never had someone in like a suit or something. Unless it's a woman in heels, they'll do it because they want to get off their feet. Which again, it's like an understandable circumstance. But like it's never a guy in a suit. Like, it's never if you see like a personal trainer with their gym bag on the way. You see a lot of those on the bus in the morning with the protein shaker and a gym bag and stuff. Looks like they're going to teach a class or something like that. You never see them doing it. They're always a bit slovenly. There's always a bit of a smell to them. A lot of times they're very heavy breathers. It's a very disgusting group of people who's doing this. And then this one was shocking, though. I didn't see this one coming. I was waiting at the bus stop in Weehawken right before the Lincoln Tunnel, and it's bitter cold out. And this woman is out there. She's bundled up. She's standing. She seems to be handling the cold no problem. We're out there for like 10 minutes or so. We get on the bus. The bus is almost completely empty. There are seats galore. There are a handful of seats that people are sitting in. She goes and sits directly next to someone in a seat that has these armrest things that cram you together. She could have had a row. I walked a few rows back behind where this occurred. She got on the bus in front of me, so that's how I saw the whole incident go down. And I kept walking another 3 rows and literally had a row to myself. And had I wanted to, if I had kept going, I would have had the entire back of the bus to myself. So just completely baffling as to why. And she apologized to the person. She said, "Oh, I'm very sorry," and just squeezed in. But like, we're literally talking about another 5 feet of walking to get to her own row of seating. And again, I observed this woman to be perfectly fine, physically able to stand, on her own 2 feet for a long period of time in, below freezing temperatures. So just very, very, very peculiar. Nighttime Conqueror. Yes, I fully agree. Never. A very weird thing to do, to sit down thigh to thigh um, against a strange way. It's a very, that gives very like office creep vibes. Like that feels like the kind of guy who gets caught installing like a webcam in the office bathroom, which used to be the stuff of teen comedies. Don't we miss those days? Um, and yet you do have to be careful because we have this story as congestion pricing begins, as it rears its ugly head here in New York City. I'm very sorry. The fucking arm broke off of my blue light blocking glasses before, so I'm like fucking. I'm slightly getting fried by this fucking screen. Um, as congestion pricing begins, and we're told that we need to take mass transit more and more, which we don't need. We don't need more people on this bullshit. This fucking Riders Alliance, these assholes. Um, Something else I have complained about quite a bit. This guy got himself stabbed in the chest because some asshole on the train was playing music out of a little Bluetooth for all to hear. This is, again, I don't know how much this goes on out elsewhere. I don't come across this when I go out to the suburbs. You get a little bit of it down the shore, but it's usually on the beach, and it's usually city or urban types from North Jersey who have come down to the beach for a day who are doing this. But this is on the New Haven line, as they were arriving at Grand Central Station on a Saturday night. How about it's 7:00 on a Saturday night? You ride the New Haven line in from wherever, Connecticut, Westchester, wherever that fucking Nyack. I don't know where that runs from. You're going out in the city, Grand Central Station. Maybe you stop by the Oyster Bar for a little raw bar, and some douchebag, Abdul Malik Little, 46, was playing music over his phone speaker and took exception when a 31-year-old fellow rider complained about the racket. Yes, because again, much like sitting down directly next to somebody, playing music like this out of a speaker publicly is one of the most wildly antisocial things you can do. And again, it's very common around here, and it's never anyone who seems like they have their shit together. There was this one time for like a brief period of a couple weeks during lockdown, there was this really hot chick who would ride her bike around, and she had like very relaxing music playing out of the speaker, and it was in a little basket on the front of the bike. That I didn't mind because we were outside, and I feel that to a degree, attractive women should be able to get away with anything. But when you're doing it on the train, and especially this time of year on the train, because it's already not that comfortable of an experience to be riding fucking mass transit in the winter. Peak winter and peak summer, like from the holidays through February when it's at its coldest, and then the summer when it's like its shittiest and hottest. Worst times to be riding those things. So these little extras really do make it extra irritating. Like, there are a few things I fucking hate more than people playing their shitty fucking music off of their Bluetooths in public. Like, most people have very bad music tastes too. Like, it's always, by the way, shit being played on these things. It's either bad rap or bad reggaeton. It's just never anything worth listening to. A lot of times the fucking fake tough guy douchebag playing it will like rap along and try, like, it's just complete look at me behavior from I don't know what prompts it. Like, clearly there was something in this person's childhood or in their day to day where they just don't feel acknowledged, so they make a public scene. And I guess it's like one step below the behavior of the person who gets on the train. Like, there was that video of like the guy walking around just throwing punches at air. There's just a lot of just weird, just self-serving behavior. He stabbed this guy in the chest twice. The victim was strong enough to exit the train at the station and identify his attacker to police who were patrolling the platform. He was apprehended without incident. Knife recovered. I wonder. They usually mention if the suspect has a previous record. No, they do not. But this is why you can't say anything to them. You can't, like, deep down, in the recesses of my soul, I would love if that when this happens to just take the person's phone and fucking throw it. But these are people with nothing to lose. Like, it's never someone who, they woke up that morning and they took a look at their 401k and they were fucking, reading the news, or like did some mental exercises, or used a stoic journal or something like that, and went to a fucking Pilates class. Like, that is not the doppelganger of the person who is doing something like this. It's always someone who exists in a world of sort of, I don't even know how to. It's just sort of existence. They just sort of exist. I don't know where a lot of these guys, where they live, like, because oftentimes, like, you think, like, and if it's teenagers doing it, like, if a group of teenagers gets on the light rail and they're blasting music, it's like, okay, yeah, teenagers do. Like, I get that. When my friends and I were fucking teenagers, if we went out to like a restaurant or something like that for dinner or lunch, we would, after the meal, we would stand in the lobby of the fucking restaurant and applaud for people as they walked in, like teenagers, just to be asses. Teenagers are fucking douchebags. Like, check. This man's in his 40s. Did it say he was 46? What was it? The 31-year-old got stabbed. Yeah, Abdul Malik Little, 46. There are many Abdul Malik Littles in my neighborhood, and I'm always confused as to like how when you get to that point in life, how are you like how does this guy support himself? Like how does he keep a roof over his head? Does he have health insurance? Does he drive a car? Sometimes you see these characters driving it, albeit a shitty car, but you do see them driving from time to time. Like where does he this guy went down and got a fucking parking pass? Like they just seem like it seems like they don't give a whole lot of thought to how they're moving around the world. Like they're just kind of they're just these balls of impulse that kind of just exist in the urban zeitgeist. Urban living is very strange because there are fucking, you know, just within feet of each other, sharing the same space on a daily basis, are people who are making like millions of dollars, and then people who are doing pretty good, and then there's like another tier below that where it's like the family of 8 crammed into a 3-bedroom, and it's like you guys would be doing fine if you could fucking pull out fucking before you shot your load. And then there are these kind of they're like lone wolf males who just kind of they trudge around. I don't think they're necessarily high all the time. Well, I think they're frequently on drugs, but they're not like homeless guys. Where, yeah, yeah, yeah. They're not guys like that. They're just they're these guys who sort of um, just don't appear to contribute anything to society, but they don't seem like they consume a whole lot. They're just sort of they just sort of exist a level above vagrant, and I really don't know how it is they spend their time other than like walking around and riding mass transit. Like that appears to be how these guys spend the bulk of their time. Absolutely fascinated by them. And there really are like a lot of them around here. And I don't know if maybe I think that just because I ride the light rail a lot, which is where they happen to inhabit, but there are quite a many of them. Every once in a while, you'll catch one or two of them on your bus going from the city to New Jersey, and I'm always curious. Like, did you have an appointment? Like, what were you doing? Like, were you like a job interview? Like, what was going on? What brought you either to the city, or why? What are you heading out to Jersey for the day? Like, you going out to the suburbs to look for property? Like, what the fuck is going on with these cats? Yes, Nighttime Conqueror. Overdriven, distorted mumble rap. Yeah, it's always bad mumble rap, isn't it? Yeah, the and correct again. The Beats pill is the worst product to ever hit the streets. Yeah, there really is something. I If I ever get to a point where I'm turning this into like kind of like a guest show or something like that, or if I do like little interviews, I may have to do is find like a psychiatrist and just put together a sort of running list of all this stuff and run it by them and get some of that stuff explained to me, because it really does, it fascinates. So anyway, that guy got stabbed. There's one more thing I wanted to go over. You guys know I love I love a good Dear Abby. And I think it's been a while since we did a Dear Abby. Oh, it's good seltzer. Ah, I do. I love a good seltzer. Anyway, Dear Abby, I cheated on my wife with an 80-year-old woman. Can I still keep my marriage? Here we go. Dear Abby, my wife and I are both in our mid 50s. Due to a medical issue she has, we rarely have sex. I don't really think about it very often anymore. Meanwhile, I have a friend, Edie. We have been friends for a good few years now. I met her in my side job as a handyman. She's in her 80s. My wife has met Edie and calls her my girlfriend in a joking manner. At least I think so. This is Dear Abby. This is in the New York Post. I don't know if I'm assuming this is elsewhere. So if you want to start following along, you can start following Dear Abby as well. From time to time, Edie would drop little sexual remarks, which at first I never noticed. When I recognized them, I never really thought much about them, which but Edie is a perfect 80-year-old woman's name, by the way. Edith, Edie. Like you can just I can imagine Edie in her youth fucking wearing one of those horizontal striped women's bathing suits that would go all the way to the knee and then like fucking cover up an obnoxious amount of their upper body that they wore back in the day. She got fingered by a Korean War veteran. I would love to know how Edie dirty talked. I wish they would have included a bit of that in the letter. One day recently, Edie was having a bad day and was crying about wanting to feel alive. One thing led to another, and we wound up having sex. What? I'm so curious as to how this is. If you were to tell me that there was like an indie film being made, like a sort of Brooklyn hipster parody about the porn industry. Uh, the handyman consoles the crying 80-year-old woman and winds up banging her. I could very much see, because there is the trope, of course, of the cable guy, the plumber, the pizza, any man who is sent to the house. That is the trope in porn, is that if the gentleman of the house is not home, the guy who has been sent there is going to have sex with the woman. But here we have the handyman taking his wrench to an 80-year-old shut in, and he says now she has awakened and always wants to engage in sex when I see her. Edie was a freak when she was younger. There is no denying that. She is just trying to get it. Until now, I never cheated on my wife in all the years we have been married, and it weighs heavily on my mind. Well, I don't know. Is it even at that point? Now, I'm not. I have a bone to pick with the porn tube sites, because they're trying to upsell you on everything now. Like if you look for Pog, a fat ass white girl, they'll start giving you just regular like fat chicks. Like it won't just be a chick with a fat ass. It will be they'll start throwing in fat chicks. Like they're trying to get you to the. I don't know why. And the same thing with the MILFs is they start slipping in, because like right now most of the women who have been doing MILF porn for a while, they're starting to hit their 40s. Some of them are in their early 50s, like Brandy Love, I think just turned 50. And that's fine. They're good. They keep it tight. They still look good. They're doing all that stepmother stuff, which I don't understand. But if you search MILF now, they start sneaking in chicks who are, I think, man, 60 feels like the upper limit. But we don't want to see, I don't think, anything really above, 55. Again, I feel like Nina Hartley is always the Mendoza line. She's good. Wherever Nina Hartley is at any given time. But no one, does anyone do, I don't even think 80-year-old guys want to bang 80-year-old chicks. I know the Villages and everything, and it happens, but that is just unsettling to the point where, I mean, now he doesn't specify if they have done it more than once, which I'm curious about. Like, there is a big unknown here. Like, did this guy somehow, again, we need more details, although I'm not sure I want them, on how this guy goes from fixing a doorknob to taking it upon himself to make an 80-year-old shut-in feel like a woman again. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but I also feel like there's a school of thought where, like, they have those things that those women, they're called sex surrogates. So I guess guys might do it too, where they have sex with, like, I don't know if they're like retarded people or, like, invalids or whatever, so that they can release their sexual urges. So there is a degree to which you're like, all right, maybe this guy just committed an act of sexual surrogacy, and I don't know if I hope it's not bleeding through and you guys can hear it, but the TV is fucking going in the other room for some reason. I turned the volume. I don't know if it's downstairs or across the hall or what, but it's sincerest apologies if that is coming through to you. Someone is going to get a fucking a mouthful of knuckles. Oh, that could age poorly, huh? No. I'm not abusive. Jokes. No, it's never funny. But back to this 80-year-old woman performing sexual surrogacy. Is it even like, he has to be racked with guilt because he enjoyed it, right? Because otherwise, and again, I'm not telling all of you to, go out to the old folks' home and fucking make like a Boy Scout and do a good deed and plow a fucking octogenarian. But I do know someone whose parents live in the Villages, and he did mention that in going to visit them, if he went to like the gym or like to do laps in the pool or whatever, he's my age, he's a fit tall dude, he would get like aggressively hit on. So these chicks are these old broads are out there trying to get dicked down before they die. But I feel like it's weighing heavily on this guy, specifically because he enjoyed it. Like, that's what it feels like. It feels like he's got this wife at home, and he's got this wife who, for whatever undisclosed medical reason, can't have sex, and he's getting in, he's putting in her fucking colostomy bag at night, and he's getting in bed next to her, and he's getting a fucking rod thinking about fucking bending Edie over her walker and just ramming her from behind, and all the dirty talking that Edie likes to do. She's gonna send him a fucking a birthday card with what were those things that people's grandmothers used to give them, like a U.S. like a savings bond, He's going to get his next birthday. He's going to get a card with a $50 savings bond and a dirty little message and like this old broad's balled up panties. They're gonna smell like, or not even panties, her hose, her compression hose, those tan, they're not even like flesh tone tan, just purely functional old lady hose are gonna be balled up in the card with a U.S. savings bond. Anyway, he continues, I love my wife and I don't want to lose her or the relationship we have, which again, she's too disabled to have sex with you. So, I also don't want to ruin the relationship I have with Edie, if that's possible, who is just a good friend and nothing more. Methinks he doth protest too much. This guy, this guy liked fucking Edie and he doesn't want to admit, and he's in his 50s. So look, if he had fucked Edie when he was in his 20s, she'd be in her 50s. That's a little wild. But he clearly enjoyed it. I mean, this guy clearly enjoyed giving this old bag of bones the old brajol. Edie's health is starting to get a little touchy, and per her family history, she will only live for a few more years. She doesn't really have many friends or family to spend time with her. He is trying to get Abby to tell him that it's okay to go over there. And when he does go over there, he is going to wind up porking Edie again. I mean, this is, can I keep my wife and my friendship with Edie? Please give me some good advice as I struggle with what to do. I would love to see this guy's fucking search history. Something tells me that, because I'm sure it didn't happen overnight. I'm sure there were just little flirtations here and there, and then boom, they finally fucking did the deed. Do you think as it was getting closer and closer, he started searching? I mean, certainly after 100% after banging Edie, this guy started jacking it to fucking gilfs on the internet. But I wonder if he was doing so before. There is something that tells me that this guy really enjoyed what he did. And I don't know, what do you do? If your wife is, in a condition where I don't understand his wife can't have sex with him. Like, she can't suck his dick. Like, what can't be done? I think he was pent up and he went over there one day knowing that sooner or later he's banging this 80-year-old chick. Yeah. Here's what Abby says. Wake up. I have news for you. Since you started servicing Edie, she has become something other than a good friend, and you have become, in a sense, her boy toy. If you love your wife, stop the burgeoning affair now before it blows out of control and your wife finds out. If you allow this to continue, your wife will be hurt, and chances are good that your marriage will be destroyed. See, I don't know. I don't think his wife knows a fucking, what does she know? I think it's one of those things that it's so beyond the pale. Like, if you heard your significant other was banging an 80-something-year-old behind you, like, your mind would be blown. Even if you're in your 50s, you'd still be like, what? Like, if it turned out that he was banging, like, the receptionist at work and she's 28, like, that would be more believable than banging 80-year-old Edie. So I don't know where this this TV. I don't know I still don't know if it's the other room or if it's downstairs or next door. This is urban living, folks. Very confusing. And I've lost track of what I was thinking about this guy banging the 80-year-old. Uh, it's so. I mean, it just seems like it's something that he is very into doing. So I think he's going to keep doing it. I don't think your spouse would never believe that you were doing it. And I think there is a way to play it here where, look, Edie doesn't have much time left. She's gone soon. And no one is going to believe a goddamn thing that Edie says because she's, you get to those last few years, she's been saying all sorts of fucking ridiculous shit, right? Everyone's been around an aging grandparent, something like that, where they're just fucking going and the things that they say, it's none of it can be taken literally or it's seriously to any degree. So even if Edie comes out and says, "Oh, by the way, I've been banging your husband," who is she's crazy. You play it off. It's just a batty old lady saying weird shit. Edie doesn't have any friends. She's on her way out. She got to leave her money and house and all the other stuff to somebody. If you fucking, I mean, women do this all the time, like the Anna Nicole Smiths of the world. You fucking get cozy with fucking Sumner Redstone or one of these old corpses who's still hanging on. You get written into the will, and all of a sudden you're doing okay. And how is your wife? Anything the wiser? Edie takes it to her grave. You get a couple bucks, maybe a house, maybe a brooch or two, and it's all good, baby. Minus the part where you're banging an 80-year-old, but Cowster, I see that, and I have I've heard the stories about that individual and a different type of fetish. I've never heard that. Is there a YouTube link available? Um, Monday morning mowing with Mike. Leilani Lay. I'm obviously, as a pornography fan, I'm certainly aware of Leilani Lay. Um, she's a little old for. She shows her age. Like she's a little too au natural for my taste, but she does, for her age, certainly have a very nice body. So I won't shame you into for being into that. I think you get a pass. Nina Hartley, 65, is Dustin Landry telling me. Yeah, Nina Hartley still has like a thick ass. Somehow, like a thick, squat built ass. And she's 65. So good for her. But I think Nina Hartley is the exception and not the rule, right? The Leilani Lay, Nina Hartley, they are definitely the exception and not the rule. Cowster, I'm sharing that on the screen, so that everyone can go find what I'm sure is a hilarious piece of radio. I will be checking that out for sure. I do love going down a good old O&A rabbit hole. Anyway, okay. It is about steak time. I got some steaks. I got some fries. I got some more seltzers. And I'm quite spent because I was hitting the hills hard today. I did three very steep hills during my 10-mile run this morning in very, very cold, windy weather. So I'm gonna wrap it up. Good to see all of you. Jack White rap. Cowster, Monday Morning, Dustin Landry, Nighttime Conqueror, Wayward Native, all the boys, Rooster, Ryan B, Kenny Fresh, Shoulda Known, everyone's hanging. Michael Bart, good to have you guys here. I am I'm going to wrap it up. Yes, thank you guys all for tuning in live. Have a great weekend. Remember Twitter at Mike Montone, Instagram at Gary_Moyler, Moyler, at Mike's Golden Streams, and of course, share it, screenshot it, send it around, let people know if they'd like to tune in. I don't spend a lot of time checking my DMs anywhere, so this is actually kind of the easiest place to get a hold of me is often in the YouTube comments or in the YouTube chat. And I will I'll see you guys. It'll be touch and go which ones are live and which ones are pre-recorded. But I don't anticipate taking a Friday completely off for a while. So I should be live again next week. So adios, motherfuckers.